In this lesson, we want to discuss installing Active Directory domain services using the command line ntdsutil. We refer to this install as IFM, install from Media. Let's take a look at our scenario. Here we have two servers, server 1 and server 2. One server is located in the head office, Bridgetown, and this server already has Active Directory domain services installed, which means it's a domain controller. We have another server here, server 2 in the remote office at St. Lucie, and we also want that server to become a domain controller. Now, ordinarily, and as you have seen in the previous lessons that we have done, we can create an additional domain controller. And that domain controller will get its Active Directory database information from the first domain controller that was created. That means that the data will automatically replicate from Bridgetown to St. Lucie. But sometimes we might have a little problem with that. The problem might be that the bandwidth between Bridgetown and St. Lucie is not always what we would like it to be. Another problem that might exist is that the connection is not reliable. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. So IFM is merely another method of having that Active Directory database information moved to server 2. Our scenario here is that we're actually going to make a copy of that Active Directory database. And remember, the database is called ntds.dit. We're also going to be copying the sysvol folder. And the sysvol folder is a folder that contains the group policies that need to be replicated to the other domain controllers within your forest. Once we have copied that data, we're actually going to point to that data when we're doing the install of Active Directory domain services on server 2. So again, we're going to create a copy of Active Directory domain services, and we are going to copy that from the head office computer domain controller, and we are going to place it on the second domain controller so that we will be able to point to it when we are doing the install. We're actually going to be doing a live install using the NTDS utility. We're going to be accessing the NTDS util command prompt. We're going to do that by clicking on the PowerShell icon in the taskbar. And we're actually going to type NTDS util at the prompt. We're going to be using the on-screen keyboard to do this. We go NTDS. You can see the letters highlighted. Util. And we want to then press enter. Our next command line that we want to type is activate instance ntds. So at the ntds util.exe command, we're going to type activate space instance, INSTANCE space NTDS. And we want to hit on enter a second time. Now, what we want to do is to type the IFM prompt line, which is installed from media. So we're going to type IFM and we're going to hit enter. At this command line, we can now type the line that we need to copy the Active Directory database to a folder. Now, if you need help with the commands at the IFM prompt, you can simply type help and you will see a list of commands if you have forgotten the command that you need to type. In our lab, we're going to actually type the command that we need. And the command is called create sysvol full. And then we're going to type the path where we actually want to save this information. So we're going to start off by typing create, and we want to click on the caps lock because we want to type a capital C. And we're going to click back off the caps lock so that our create will be in common letters. So it's REATE space sysvol, capital S, take back off the caps lock, YS VOL space full. Space. Now we want to type the path. So we're going to click on C. We want a colon. So we're going to hit shift and the colon and slash. Then we're going to type IFM. We're going to turn on the caps. IFM install from media. Then we can go ahead, take the caps off, and click on enter. We can actually see the data being copied. And at the end, at the bottom, you can see here, media created successfully in CIFM. And we want to go and we want to actually look to see if we can actually find that folder that we created on the C drive. So we're going to go to File Explorer. We're going to click on File Explorer. We're going to click on the C drive here. And there we can see the folder IFM, and we can see that it's on the local drive C. We're going to click to open the folder. And there you go. You have Active Directory, Registry, and sysvol. Now, what is going to happen is that we actually have to take up that IFM folder. We can copy it to an external drive, a USB stick, or we can copy it straight across to the other server. But it has to go manually on the other server. So we're going to be connecting to the server in St. Lucie so that when we're doing the install, we can actually point to this IFM folder that we have copied. We are now on the other server in St. Lucie, which is server 2, and we are going to want to be installing the Active Directory Domain Services role on that server and pointing to the media that we copied from server 1. So we're going to go ahead and click on Add Roles and Features. Note that we can click Add Roles and Features here, or we can go to Manage and say Add Roles and Features. We want to click Next at the Before You Begin screen. Want to click Next again at the Installation type. Accept that server. We want to click on Active Directory Domain Services. And then we want to click Install. You can see the installation going through. When that installation is completed, then you're going to see that you have a prompt here saying promote this server to a domain controller. You can go ahead and promote the server to a domain controller. At this point, the option that you want here is to add a domain controller to an existing domain. Remember that we already have a domain controller in Bridgetown. So what we're doing is adding another domain controller in St. Lucie. But instead of letting that data replicate, we're actually going to copy the Active Directory database and the sysvol folder manually and then place it on the server in St. Lucie. And we're going to do that by actually pointing to that database we copied. So at this point, you will type the name of the domain, which is the main domain in Bridgetown, and you go ahead to the next screen. And there you're going to be asked for the credentials to be able to log on to that server. You type in your credentials, or you can change them here at the Change tab. You click on OK. You come back to the screen and you click on Next. Here you type in the password for the Directory Services Restore mode, and you can go ahead and click on Next. You're going to get the DNS delegation prompt here, and remember that DNS has not been installed as yet. So we go ahead and we want to click Next. So you don't click Update DNS delegation there. You just go ahead and click Next. And it is at this point where you have to stop and you have to type in the path or wherever you had stored that IFM folder. You could have put the folder on a USB drive or external drive and place it on the C drive of the St. Lucie folder. Or you could have left it on the drive as long as it was connected to this folder. The point is that wherever that folder is stored, you now have to point to it so that you can get the data from that folder. So once you have the correct point, and you can see here that it was placed on the St. Lucie folder in the C drive, you can go ahead and click Next. And just like the previous installation, you have the default paths for the database folder, which is ntds.dit, which is Active Directory Database. You have the path for the log files and the default path for the sysvol. You want to go ahead and click Next, and you have here a review of all your options. You can click Next, and you can see that the DNS server is being installed and everything else will be installed. After the installation is completed, your server will restart and you'll be able to log on to that server in St. Lucie with all of the Active Directory database information that you have on your server in Bridgetown. While this configuration is going on, you can still close and continue doing whatever else you wanted to do on the server. The server will restart when it's finished. And again, you will now have Active Directory domain services installed on your server in St. Lucie through the IFM Media install. That is the end of this session. Thank you for listening.